Hey folks, welcome to Coastal A&E. I'm your host Michael Sprouse. Have you been in the position recently where you've had to explain what a pandemic is to a 4-year-old? How do you explain social distancing to a first grader? Well, in today's episode, I'll introduce two California-based comedy screenwriters and television producers, Jacob Horn and Mike Farrell, who have written a new book that does exactly that. The two friends have worked on all kinds of projects over the last 10 years, but when a comedy script idea evolved into a children's book, they took the concept and ran with it. The book, Lily and Timmy's Super Awesome Incredible COVID B-Day, has been steadily climbing the charts at Amazon.com for children's books. It's funny, bright, colorful, and with just enough tongue-in-cheek humor adults will love from two guys that grew up on South Park and The Simpsons. So check out this episode after this quick sponsor message and see if you don't agree. Thanks for watching and enjoy. This episode is sponsored by the following. The Residences of Lighthouse Cove, Dewey Beach. Discover for yourself why they call the Residences of Lighthouse Cove the best backyard of the beach. More information at theresidencesde.com. Barnstormers Wood, offering only the best reclaimed barnwood in North America. More online at barnstormerswood.com. The Sprouse Thomason Group, where Coastal Leisure finds its home, an affiliate of Berkshire Hathaway Home Services Gallo Realty. More online at iselthebeach.net. Inspections Guaranteed, an authorized dealer of the On Guard system. More information at inspectionsguaranteed.com. The Closet Works, it's your life, just well organized. Visit theclosetworks.net for more information. The Lodge at Truett Homestead, Delaware's exciting new premier luxury independent living community. More at truettlodge.com. And Amerispec Inspection Services for superior property inspection. More online at amsde.net. All right, everybody. Hey, well, thanks for joining me here on Coastal A&E. I've got Mike Farrell and Jacob Horn here. They've written a children's book. It's their first book project together. It's called Lily and Timmy's Super Awesome COVID-19 Birthday B-Day, as a matter of fact. Welcome, guys. Welcome to Coastal A&E. I'm glad you're here. How's it going?
Thank you, Michael.
Thank you.
I got turned on to your book through an email from your agent who I've worked with before, and I thought it was such a great concept. And I looked at the book, read the book. I love everything about it. I love the timing. I love the way it's written. The illustrations are phenomenal. But the two of you, even though I've read your bios, you've worked together for many years. This is the first book you've written together. Is that true?
So, yes, it is true. First of all, yes. So Mike and I, we've been in the creative realm, the TV and film production realm for over a decade together. And as most people do in that realm, it's like you'll find people that you work really well with. Of course, you can't do every project with that person, but we do as much as we can. So we've done some TV pilots together. We've written some scripts for film together. We've done also some conventions and some events for Nike. We did Nike commercials together. Mike and I, we always get together on now FaceTime to kind of just go through stories, just come up with outlines, just come up with crazy stories together. And that's what this was. Originally, this was just an idea that was basically for he and I and adults, for parents. It was like a dark comedy in sense. And as we were writing it, we kind of looked at each other and we were like, first of all, Lily and Timmy, the children, have become the leads in this story. And we were like, and second of all, if you reread this, I'm pretty sure we're writing a children's book. This doesn't feel like a parental, a dark comedy for parents. It didn't feel like that at all. So we're looking at this and we're like, I think subconsciously we're writing a children's book. So we just started doing it. And that was it. It came very natural to us. I think probably because we're both essentially 6 years old in our head.
So this really started as a loose script concept, maybe as a short story or a vignette.
I think it was more of a vignette. We were really just riffing on this idea. Like we were on the phone and I said to Jake, Jake, how bad would it suck to be a child right now during COVID? And that idea was the root of the idea. We were kind of joking around at how miserable it would be to be a kid, because you've got some 6-year-old that's talking to their mom saying, hey, can we go to Disneyland? And no, you can't. Shelter in place means we stay home. Stay home. It's like, can we go to Chuck E. Cheese? No, you're staying home. And that was really the root of it, was that joke. And so from there, we just said, let's just start writing something down. and see where it goes. And so we didn't really have full understanding that it would become a children's book. It could have really become anything. There was this book that came about years ago called Go the F to Sleep that became famous by Sam Jackson.
Yes, I remember that. Yep.
And that became super famous. So that was in the back of our heads years ago. And I think that we had always discussed like, oh, what if we did something like that, like something like an adult fairy tale? And we just never had the unique idea to propel, so to speak. And then we stumbled upon this and we said, you know what, let's write something based off of this idea that was kind of dark in origin and turn it into more of like a family sitcom in a book format. And that's really what the book is. It's really a rounded children's book that parents enjoy as well.
Oh, well, that makes a lot of sense. You brought up a good point in that reference, Go the F to Sleep, which was very tongue-in-cheek. And on your website, you referenced the fact that this is a very tongue-in-cheek, or at least it started out as a tongue-in-cheek project. But as you said, it's evolved into this children's book. And I think what's interesting, just for me reading it, looking at it, you've done a very good job of explaining to kids what exactly is happening. I would imagine that would be a challenge. If you had young children, particularly what I like about Timmy and Lily, they're twins, and it's their birthday. And when you're a kid, that's about as far as your level goes. It's our birthday. This is like the pandemic. That is not something that would normally come up on the interest. So there clearly are situations where parents need to explain to children what is happening, why it is happening, and how you go about making this become something that's comprehensible. But you've done a very good job in this book. What was there research involved on the level for you? Were you talking to parents with kids? Because you don't have children, do you?
So no, we do not have children.
I mean, that's okay. It's totally cool because you've done a great job of it.
And that's the thing. It's like we always get asked that question. So how, you guys have children? And we're like, well, technically no. I mean, again, we are children mentally.
Technically no, and you probably don't want us around your kids either.
Yeah, exactly. We'll write this children's book for your kids. Don't bring us near your kids. No, so...
Well, I guess it seems like it's almost, maybe was intentionally, maybe unintentionally, but it's become a very approachable way for parents to discuss this very serious issue with their young children. And when you pick it up and read it, that's the sense that I get initially from it.
And that's the response that we get. Even before, we were reaching out, like you said, and we did do that. We were reaching out to parents to kind of test the book, to see what parents thought, to see what their children thought. But since we have released this book, we've had so many responses and so many reviews and reaches out from parents that they say that. They're like, there is no outline for us to read to describe what's happening right now to our children. There's no way to describe to the children what quarantine is, what lockdown is, what COVID-19 is, because 6, 7, 8, 9, 10-year-olds, they're just gonna sit there and stare at you and say, like, I don't know what the heck you're saying. This doesn't make any sense. That's kind of what this became. This became kind of an outline parents could read to their children and maybe have some kind of way to show what's going on so they would understand, so they would have some kind of understanding of what's happening in the world right now. And again, off all the responses we've had, these parents are like, literally, because we've had a lot of responses like this. They're like, it was literally our children's birthday a few days ago. We were supposed to go to Disneyland, and Disneyland, for the first time ever, has closed and shut down. So what do? And a lot of these parents did what the mom did in this book. They saved the day. They created something at home because they couldn't leave the backyard. So they've built a castle. They've done this. They've done that. And we've had a lot of parents that said, this was basically an outline. They're like, okay, what do I need to do for my children's birthday? They're like reading the pages. They're like, aha, okay. I built this cardboard
It's a how-to manual, right?
It's like a how-to manual. That's exactly what it is. It's a how-to manual.
I think that's great. I think it's brilliant.
Yeah. The responses that we get from children always make us feel really good. The responses we get from parents that are saying there was no way for us to understand what the heck we were supposed to do. And then we got this book and it kind of brightened everything up. We're like, oh, okay. We just gotta be creative. And that's what it is.
Also, the humor that the two of you have introduced into the characters, particularly the father, who's sort of the fall guy of the book. You're looking at these sort of over-the-top things, but those, in my opinion, are elements that a kid could laugh at. A kid could see the humor in the father with the 6-foot tape measure and the ridiculous birthday present that he ends up delivering at the end. I want to give any spoilers away, but things like that nature, a kid would find that funny. And I like the tongue-in-cheek aspect of it because it reminded me of the type of humor, for example, that you would find in, let's say, Rocky and Bullwinkle, which there was a lot of adult humor that was wrapped up in a kid's cartoon. The Simpsons has a lot of adult humor that's wrapped up in kids' cartoon. There's some of that element to it. When you were writing the book, did you find those ideas sort of popping in the way you were thinking about creating the storyline?
Let me tell you our favorite TV shows, and then you can get a feel for what our ultimate aspirations would be. My number one favorite comedy on TV would have to be South Park. You know, I grew up in Colorado, and then, you know, I know Jake loves South Park as well. And then our second favorite comedy on TV right now is Always Sunny in Philadelphia. So you've got these two guys that love dark comedies that get stuff writing to children's books. So we like to have a little bit of us in the book. You know, we like to have some of that zany, wild humor. Like, I like the allusion to The Simpsons. I think that's a tremendous compliment. And we actually heard that for the first time from some reporter from North Dakota. Like, Jake and him were just riffing over this Homer Simpson joke because they said that the dad kind of reminds him of Homer. So we wanted to make sure that we could create a lot of that humor for children. And I think that they get a lot of that through the illustrations. Like, the children get the story through the illustrations more so. Like, obviously they're going to get the major storyline through the actual words as well, but we wanted the words to speak more so to the adults and to the parents. We wanted some of that Pixar style humor that went a little bit or way above the kids' head so mom and dad could have a laugh. Because, like, when you're reading to 6 and 8 year olds, if mom and dad are laughing, you might get a laugh from the kid just because mom and dad are laughing.
Sure.
They don't know any better. And then for the kids, what really speaks to them is big, vibrant illustrations and then some type of action that's happening within those illustrations. So there's a page in the book, which I'm sure you saw, Michael, where the dad is in his underwear. Children love seeing this dad running into the house in his underwear after he just got done panic buying all of the sanitation supplies in the store. And he's telling the wife, hey, burn my clothes. I'm sure that the children don't understand why daddy is saying to burn his clothes, but the parents love the fact that this dad is so much of a hypochondriac and so much of a crazy man that he's saying, hey, burn all the germs off these clothes. But the kids, they love like seeing like the little hearts on his underwear and his zany expression. So yeah, like we love that style of humor that you mentioned, like The Simpsons, and we wanted to make sure that we incorporated a lot of that adult humor for parents as well.
Well, I'm glad you brought the illustrations. I think they're really well done, and they're colorful and vibrant and fun. And as you said, there are hidden little elements. There's some product names, which I think are very funny when you look at them. There's sort of the puns involved, and of course, it matches part of the storyline where the parents or the father is concerned about licensing violation, etc., things like that.
Trademark infringement.
Exactly. And the kids, of course, you know, they're going to be over their heads, but those are funny, valid, great little side jokes to put in there. Federico Verde was the illustrator for the book. Was it working closely with the artist, or how did that project work? What type of direction were you able to get to the illustrator when it came to the actual storyline?
I can answer that question a little bit. Mike found Federico on Fiverr, which is that website that lives in the creative realm. We were going all back and forth, but Mike, I'll let you answer the question, Mike, because you dealt with Federico a lot.
Yeah, so we found this amazing Italian man, Federico Matteo Verde, living in Canada, in quarantine himself. I've never actually met Federico, so I just picture like this guy that's like rolling out of bed with a beard, and he hasn't like illustrated anything, and I don't know. He's actually a really great guy. But
dude, I picture him with like these old round glasses that he puts on, and he
high Renaissance hat, you know.
Yeah, and he never wears like actual clothes. He just puts a robe on. That's what he works in.
Hey, the last thing he did was the Sistine Chapel.
Yeah. Oh my God! No, that's great. The name Federico Verde, I'm like, wow, this is some legit work you've got going on here. But
yeah,
he's done actually a very good job, and I think that's part of a great element in the book. It really helps to bring in very bright colors and bright-eyed characters. I think it translates beautifully into the version than I saw the ebook version.
Yeah, so the process, just to jump back to it real quick. So we were on a super compressed timeline because we wanted the story to be relevant. So as soon as we got the idea like maybe in late March, and then the book came out in April. And so like from the time that we wrote the book in like 2 days, and then we illustrated the book in like 2 weeks. And Federico originally, he said, this is going to take me a month. I said, I'm going to need you to chop that in half. like we need to figure out how to streamline this. So Jake and myself, we would do like the original like rough sketches, which are terrible, right? I'm like, it's like stick figures. Like if you see what we did versus him, it's like, okay, this is how I see it. So we started out with stick figures, and we would send it to him. He would deliver a sketch to us. And then we would approve the sketch, and then he would start illustrating it. And then we would start working on the next 5 sketches. And that was kind of the process. And then once he got done with the illustrations, which was like more of a fully rendered version of it in Illustrator, we would correct some of the finer details, like the expression is more so this, or why don't you add that funny brand name that Michael likes on the soap, like change the brand name to this. So we had this process, and eventually we started incorporating like a lot of the film stuff that Jake and I are used to. We really just started looking at it like a shot list. Like we would find a shot from, I remember one shot specifically of like, I said, this is a 3 shot of Lily, Timmy, and the mom. And I would reference a film, and I would like just pull up a film, and I would get the 3 characters in a screen grab and say, okay, this is Lily, this is Timmy, and this is the mom. Just do the same exact shot, but make this be the characters. And then eventually we had like a working floor plan of the house that these characters were in. And I would just put a V next to the room that the characters were supposed to be in and say, the V is the camera. Think of it, it's shooting like this. And these are the characters. This is the angle. So eventually we would just put a V down, and we would do dots of who the characters were. And then he would know based off of other illustrations where they were in the house.
That is so freaking clever. I think that is phenomenal. So this is really like their storyboards to some degree, right?
100%.
Wow, that's brilliant, because normally you hear about books that are then taken and brought into film, but here you're taking the film concept and you're bringing it into a book in a small little nutshell when it comes to developing that. And I think it's very interesting for our listeners to realize that there is so much work behind something like the illustrations. It's not just an artist goes and says, hey, I'm gonna, I'll see you in a month with the pictures, we'll make it fit. Everything is really thought out quite carefully.
Yeah.
If we left it to Federico, it would have a much more Italian vibe to it. I could tell Michael, I will tell you this. There was some stuff that was completely lost in translation. And what I mean by that, English is not Federico's first language. I don't know if you could guess that.
The story gets better and better. I love it.
When we said the tape measure, like you referenced the tape measure, when I said, hey, draw a tape measure, the first iteration of a tape measure was like an Italian man's seamstress measuring the measuring tape for measuring like a suit.
Oh, it's great. Here comes Pinocchio with this like
exactly.
Geppetto. I love that. That's great. That is brilliant. Well, and you've done already. So the book is currently on Amazon, but yes. I was reading that it achieved a level of fame with preschoolers to some degree. It was in a pretty good position recently, wasn't it?
Yeah. So the book has actually been rising up in a lot of subcategories. We've been a #1 in a few subcategories, and now we're getting into the stronger categories, and our number is rising. Or I guess lowering, I should say. It's getting closer to #1. But yeah, it's been an absolutely incredible response on Amazon.
I think that's phenomenal. Timing. So we've been in this pandemic for maybe 5 months. This concept that you had, and now you have the 3-dimensional publication, has all happened within that period, because clearly you didn't have this idea before the pandemic. As you said, you had a very short time frame to put this together. Now that you have this fleshed out, this wonderful book that's doing well, that's hitting all the right marks with people, do you see it evolving? Do you see a follow-up book where the kids have a bigger concept of what's happening, and maybe they're exploring the boundaries a bit? I mean, how does that play out in your mind? Is there a continuation for this series?
Jake, I'll let you take that, because you got a nice big smile there.
The light bulb goes off.
Yeah, exactly. So yes, actually, to answer the question, we are already tossing around book #2. I'm not going to tell you anything about it.
Sure.
we've already come up with the story, and we've already started writing it, and started talking to Federico about doing the illustrations for book number 2. We've talked about the outline for book number 3. We are also tossing around the idea of doing a TV show or film with Disney Plus or Nickelodeon. And I mean, at the end of the day, most people will try to come up with a story outline with a pitching realm, and then, you know, they'll come up with their shot list, and it's like, we've already kind of come up with that. You know, this is the pitching realm right here. So yeah, we've talked about the other books, but I really think this would be an incredible TV show on Disney Plus or Nickelodeon.
Oh yeah, that's a brilliant idea. I was just going as far as a pop-up book, but man, you've taken it to the whole other. I'm like, oh yeah, man, bring on back to the mothership. That is great. That's brilliant. That would be phenomenal. Seriously, that would be great. I think you guys have really just hit on something, and I always like to try to, you know, be an optimist. And of course, the pandemic is a terrible, horrible thing that we're all in right now. But I love the fact that you two creative gentlemen with a history together have taken this situation, and you've created something that's not only helpful for parents, enjoyable for kids, but you use it as a creative outlet for yourself, and you just never really quite know where it could lead to. And sometimes I think if you look through the history of art and the history in general, that it's when we're in our most traumatic time that you will find that these times bring out the best in people. I think certainly on that level, that must feel satisfying to you to be able to, first of all, jump into a project that you've never really done before, and for it to be so successful off your first time up at the bat.
It feels really good. It's crazy when you get these people that you used to go to high school with that are reading your book to their children. And especially Jake and I's background, I mean, at our core, we're just comedians and storytellers. And in a different interview, Jake had mentioned this is the first thing that we've ever done that doesn't have profanity in it. So going from that to this and getting very involved with the mother target demographic, like our humor in the past has always been very sophomore. Jokes for dudes like 18 to 19. But our jokes in the past were just so rudimentary. They fit like a niche, kind of like that Always Sunny type vibe. And then now, like I'm sitting here texting with mom bloggers that have posted the book, and I can't believe that like we've shifted to like mothers with young children. So like mothers like 27 to 44 with young children, because that's really who's reading this book to their kids. So for us, I think it's unique that we can kind of go from here to here, and then also getting feedback from like actual little kids. Like I read the book to my brother's in the Coast Guard. He's got a buddy who's got a kid. So I went over to this other Coast Guardman's house, and his wife had me read to their kid, and she's sitting there recording with the phone saying, okay, explain what trademark infringement means to Connor. And she's cracking up, and the kid was just absolutely loving it. The parents were loving it. And so to be in that environment and actually be reading to family, it felt good on so many levels. And then on top of that, like we've got the book going to like Australia now, the UK now. We're in tons of markets. And one of the girls that helped us with our press release, her primary school teacher back when she was in school read the book to a bunch of 7- and 8-year-olds, and these 7- and 8-year-olds sent us their feedback, like or their compliments rather, that they emailed to us. So we get this email from 27- and 8-year-olds that are all saying, I love when mom did this, or I love when mom did this. And so you've got that little bit of a translation difference, but everything has just been wholly positive. It feels good to get such great vibes from both the parents and the children.
Excellent. And also, and correct me on this, as I'm not sure, are there other children's books aimed at shedding light on this pandemic? Or are you guys sort of the first out the gate? I would assume that you're certainly, if not the first, definitely would imagine in that first group, because I'm not familiar with a lot and many publications that are geared on that level, and certainly not in the humorous, colorful way that you two are doing it.
Well, you just answered the question. There are a few other books that go into coronavirus and COVID-19 as children's books, but they're really books that are just kind of explaining in a very understanding childlike way of what's going on. They're not actual children's books with a story about these two children they don't really go the realm of storytelling. They more go the realm of describing and description and understanding, which is great. But there's no humor. I've read a few of them. I didn't feel any connection with the characters in those other books. I read the story and I'm like, oh, this is a great description to help children understand what's going on. But there's no connection with any of these characters or really with the story. So truthfully, our book is kind of the first humorous book to go after COVID-19, but also the first kind of book to create a child connection with these characters, you know, and even with the parental characters. I haven't really looked to see if there's been any few other ones that have come out, but we were kind of at the jump of the gun, as they say.
Yeah, Kismet. I think it's great. I really do. So let's give a shout out to the website, of course, where people can go to get more information. You see examples of the illustrations from the book and get an idea of content. It's lilyandtimmy.com, and you have quite a bit of nice information there. And of course, the book is available in print or as an ebook on Amazon, correct?
That's 100% right.
Now, do you see this going into bookstores at some point?
I don't think it will go into bookstores until we get approached by a larger publisher, because right now we're going the independent route. So I think that maybe for the second book, we'll do both Amazon and Google Books in conjunction. Right now, the first book is just Amazon. So I think that we'll stick to the direct-to-consumer type approach for probably at least our first 3 books. And then next year, if we get picked up by maybe a larger publisher, and this is way into the future, then at that point we would go into bookstores.
Cool. I also got to say, this seems like, this is going to sound really corny, but this would be a great birthday gift for a kid's birthday. It seems like it's very appropriate right now, right? So this would be just a wonderful gift for someone that needs to bring a gift for a child that needs to sort of understand what's going on right now in this very complicated, dark corner of the world that we're in. I think this shines a little bit of light. So you guys, congratulations to you both. I think you've done a great job.
Thank you, Michael.
Yeah, thank you again. Appreciate that.
Yeah, right on. So listen, everybody, I'll definitely put up links to where people can get the book. And keep my fingers crossed that you guys end up with a publisher soon so that people can go out to the bookstore and get it. In the meantime, we look forward to seeing more of them out there, the continuing chapters of Timmy and Lily, and see what awaits them next.
The continuing saga.
That's right. Of COVID-19. So, all right, Jed.
The new Star Wars is what it is. No big deal.
I'm really happy with it. Thank you guys for joining me today. I'm really pleased. I definitely wanted to give a shout out, make sure people check out the book. Without a doubt, it's very enjoyable, and I really enjoyed it thoroughly. And hey, next time you get Federico on the phone, pull out the Google Translator and tell him I thought he did a really great job. And, really happy with it.
I can't wait to show you the next book. The next book is going to blow the first book away, and it's way more our humor than even the first book, because the first book we were trying to fit that mold. The second book we said it's going out the window. We're just gonna do what we want.
I think it's great. You can hide things in there, little Easter eggs around, right? Little visual.
Exactly.
People got to figure that out. But you guys also, you got to release your original sketches, man. You have a companion book, behind the scenes book. I gotta see those sketches. I'm sure they're phenomenal.
Oh yeah.
I'll shoot you a couple of the sketches that you can take a look at.
Yeah, I'll put them up without a doubt. I will incorporate them. And here, artists, what is it they would say? Artist rendition. Let me jump back into this. I want to thank you, Mike Farrell, Jacob Horn. Thank you both for joining me. Look forward to seeing more about this, and I wish you both great success.
Thank you so much, Michael.
Thank you, Michael.
So much fun. All right, guys, I think we're good.